I also told you on the show that I spoke to the president of the Badminton Federation of Nigeria, Francis Orbih, and this is what he has to say about the badminton sport in Nigeria.
Last year, we met as a board and we drew up our calendar for the year 2018. So we already had our programs mapped out for the year. So what we had to do was to vigorously pursue executing them and then making sure that we carried out as many as possible. So the All African Seniors, we already had it on our program. The camping for our players was already there. Of course, the African Youth Games was also already in the calendar. The Lagos International was already there. So basically, we had our programs already, lined up, and we just religiously and aggressively followed to make sure that our sponsors came on board and we were able to carry out those programs. I was busy with football myself. I was watching the World Cup, but mind you, for example, our Lagos International was the week immediately after the World Cup finals weekend. So that affected our publicity and awareness creation somehow because there was nothing really much we could do. So we virtually started publicity for that event less than a week to the event. That's the Lagos International, which is the flagship event for badminton in Africa. So, but even at that, the attendance was still good, the entries were fantastic, and the event was well packaged and delivered. So maybe to an extent, yes, it affected us a bit, but I would say also that we were prepared for it and we put in our effort to make sure that we were able to lift and raise the bar. We tried to look at what the issues were, with especially getting the corporate Nigeria to support sports development by way of sponsorship. And what we were able to identify was the fact that there was this practice and mindset, especially by sports administrators, that our major concern is always to get sponsorship and get money from prospective sponsors. We never focused on what we give back in return. What does the person who gives me money to sponsor my event, what does he get in return? What value do I create for him? So our focus was we needed to do something different. Let's be concerned about the quality of the event. Let's be concerned about the crowd you are able to attract to come to the event, because at the end of the day, the bottom line for most sponsors is what is your followership? What is the followership of the game? So we've tried to create as much awareness as possible around the game of badminton, and also to make people see the excitement in, there are a lot of people who have never watched the game. So we are trying to attract as many people as possible, get new converts and get them to remain there. So with our focus on the quality of our events, that has sustained the attention of the corporate Nigeria, and that is why we actually expect to even get more in terms of sponsorship and support for the game. We need to win the confidence of people who are ready to commit money to this sport. So basically that's what our focus has been. What do we give back in return to our sponsors? What do we give back in return to our partners? What value do they get for the money they give to us? So if you give us 2 million, when you come for our event, you should be able to see at least 2 million, if not more. If you give us 10 million, you come to the event. Not that you give us 10 million, you come and you see only 2 million from what we organize. So for us, that has been a major focus. We must give something back to the sponsor. Those of them that went to camp in foreign camps are actually back. They have to come back to play in our national championship. But if you ask me how are they faring, I'll tell you that the camping they went for has really improved their game. Anu Opeyori, when we came on board, he was ranked around number 7 in Africa. As we speak today, he's number 2. Habib Bello is ranked number 3. Clement Koroba is ranked number 5 in Africa. So Nigeria, we are occupying 2nd, 3rd, and 5th. But our target is to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in Africa. So once we do that, we are coming back to the pole position. Dorcas Adeshokun is number 1 in Africa right now. Deborah Uke is number 11. It's still far, and that is a function of the number of internationals you are able to play. So what we've done is we've exposed our players, our top players, to play as many internationals as possible, especially within the African region. It's more expensive to go outside the continent, but those that are within the continent, let us first grab those and put them in the bag. So as we speak, Anu, Dorcas, Habib, Usman, quite a number of them. We intend them to go play the Egypt International next month. That is a good ranking championship. It will improve on their ranking, and I can tell you that if they play that and they're able to play maybe 2 more, Botswana and Zambia, possibly South Africa before the end of the year, Anu might likely come to #1 in Africa, and the other players will also move up in ranking. So our focus is to expose these players. If you train from the beginning of the year to the end and you don't play a championship, there's nowhere you can express what you have been able to train for, and that's the only way you can prove your worth. We've tried to work on team spirit. One thing we've always preached to the players is you belong to one family and you should be each other's keeper, watch each other's back. So when one person is winning, the team is winning. When one person is doing well, the whole team is doing well. So it doesn't matter who it is. So it could be you today, it could be somebody else tomorrow. So that we've tried to put in the team, and that team spirit is really working for them. And we've also tried to let them react. We are like building afresh, starting from the scratch. So, and the beginning is always very difficult. So they are having to make a lot of sacrifices. Sometimes they go for these championships, they are not able to get allowance. What we are able to do, because we don't get sponsorship, what we are able to do is to make sure they have good accommodation and they are well fed. So now, because of that understanding, they themselves also recognize the importance of attending this championship. So they are ready to sacrifice. Because once, I will say something, it is easier for me to talk to a sponsor, to sponsor my players who are #1, #2, #3 in Africa, than to talk to them to sponsor my players who are #11 and #15. So everybody wants to associate with success. So we must be able to make that initial sacrifice to bring them to a level where they become attractive. And they themselves have also come to terms with that reality, and they've been so fantastic, ready, knowing fully well that by the time sponsors come on board, those benefits are going to definitely come. Our top players, we intend them to play the Egypt International next month, around the 21st or thereabout. 25th to 28th. And now we also have 2 national championships. We promise to keep the players busy. So while they are going out there to play, they should also be playing. We should be having national championships to know who our top ranked players are. So we hope to have 2 national championships before the end of the year. We actually have an age grade championship lined up. Our challenge now is time. The calendar is so choked. You have the sports festival coming up. Now we want them to play Botswana, Zambia, and South Africa. Those are the countries, internationals left within the continent before the end of the year. We want them to take advantage of those championships and garner more points to go up. From next year, Olympic qualifiers, and we want our players to be in the Olympics 2020. So it's really choked. And then one of the national championships we have is going to be the Rivers National Championship, which is a test run for the All-African Seniors we are hosting in Port Harcourt next year. So we bidded for that, and we are going to host it for the first time in 19 years. We've not hosted. It's like the African Cup of Nations for football. So we played it in Algeria this year, and for the first time we are hosting it in Nigeria next year. So we are having the national championship in Port Harcourt to do as a test run because we are getting in a lot of equipment, which is good for the game, because after that event, those equipments are here to stay to help us continue to improve and grow. So those are basically some of the things we have lined up before the end of the year. The players, before we came on board, they were complaining there were not enough championships, they were not playing enough. So naturally, everybody was happy that they are beginning to have a lot of activities. So we hope that they won't complain that they are getting too many. But really and truly, most players want to be playing week in, week out, month in, month out. And so they are in tune with our programs. All we need to do every time is to always give enough notice, which is why we have the calendar. In some instances, we have had to adjust the dates slightly, but anytime we do that, we make sure that there's still enough notice for people to get ready. For most of the states, they need to prepare to get releases and all that process to get some money for states that are still willing, because a lot of states, I must confess to you, are not doing a lot for sports right now. So a lot of contingents, when they come for the championships, they come on their own. They are self-sponsored, and which is a very sad development for sports development in Nigeria. So for the few who are still doing something, they need enough notice to be able to process and get to those funds, have the team prepared to attend. So we are working with all the stakeholders, the state associations, the players, the officials, so that everybody is on the same page. Because at the end of the day, whatever program we have is for the benefit of the sport as a whole. As a board, we realized that a lot of aspects of the game were lacking behind. So our approach, and from the beginning we made up our minds, is going to be a total package. So we won't focus on the players alone, because yes, you can have good players, but you also need good coaches. Now, if you have good players and good coaches and you have championships, you need good officials. The quality of officiating has to be good. So it's a total package, and that is what we are, committed to doing, to make sure that every aspect of the game is developed. So our long-term program or plan is to make sure that we expose our officials, our players, our coaches to the best in terms of competitions, in terms of training, in terms of courses. But we need to bring them up to date with the latest in terms of the technical aspects of the game. So that we intend to do. Then one other area we also observe, which we are working on seriously. For a while we didn't have a succession plan. So we had a period when our senior players dominated Africa. But because we didn't plan for who would take over from them, when they left the scene, we dropped. So we don't want to go through that process again. So that's why we are introducing age grade tournaments, and we are very happy with what the sports ministry is doing. The under 15 they did this year just ended in Ilorin, and last year it was under 17. It is from there we discover young players who are going to take over and step into the shoes of the senior ones. So we're also starting a schools program. We want to take badminton to the secondary schools, and it's called Shuttle Time. So we are taking it to the schools, and we are going to select schools. We go there, send technical people, train the games masters of each selected school, and at the end of the day, we are going to have a competition for all of them, and to help grow the game. So these are our long-term plans to make sure that we have enough equipment for the players to be able to play, and then we have enough exposure for the technical officials. We are into a detailed planning for this program because we want it to succeed and succeed very well. It's going to be the foundation of the success of the growth of badminton in Nigeria in the future. So what we're doing, badminton is an indoor game, so we recognize that fact. So we're going to start from where the game should properly be played. So what we are doing is, our pilot scheme, we're going to identify like 3 schools in every state in the country. Now, we are going to select those schools based on the fact that these schools have either assembly halls or dining halls that can accommodate a badminton court, a standard badminton court. Now, when we've identified that, we engage the management of the schools. We get them to buy into the program, that this is what we want to do. So we are going to offer. We'll come to those schools, help them mark the courts in the halls. Then we are going to mass produce mobile net poles locally. It's going to be cheaper, but to specifications. We'll produce them. We've already engaged local welders who are going to do that for us. And then we'll get nets, we'll get rackets and shuttles. These are the basic equipment they need to have those courts function. Then when we've done that, all the games masters in the selected schools are going to be brought in for a course. We need to teach them what to teach the children. So they'll go through. We're going to get a resource person from the African and the world bodies to come and help us run this program. And after that course, they will now go to their schools to implement. So we'll give them a time. Within that period, we have also resource people going around the schools to monitor what they are doing. Now, after that period, then we'll have a zonal competition amongst all the schools from each of the states. Then those who emerge from the zone will now come for the national. That will be the pilot scheme. After that pilot scheme, we'll do a review, look at the success, look at lessons learned and areas where we think we can improve, and possibly we'll begin to expand to accommodate more schools. So maybe by the next cycle, we might have five schools from each state. So we'll gradually increase it that way. And now let me tell you something. The beauty of it is this. We'll buy those rackets for any school we are starting the program with. So it's like sowing a seed. It's not like we are going to be buying equipment for them forever. Because once I get you interested, I've given rackets to people to encourage them to play. And after that racket, they've had to buy rackets themselves because they now love the game, they like the game, they are excited. So it's either a parent will buy for the child because the child is playing well, or even the school can decide to support because they are doing well in the game. So that seed is what we want to sow. And I can tell you it's going to be a badminton revolution in Nigeria.
All right. right, welcome back. Of course, it's been an interesting episode of Sports Week. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much, Matthew, for coming on.
Always a pleasure, Demola.
All right, that's our package for this week. Join us next week as we bring you stories happening in the world of sports. My name is Ademola Lawrence, and from me and Matthew, we'll tell you bye-bye for now.
All right.